Nam yo ho ning ge cho 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 nam yo ho ning ge.
Hi, I'm Margaret, and this is the website where we take Buddhist philosophy and practice and apply it to the problems and concerns about everyday life. This week, I received a couple of questions about how to move on after heartbreak, where you've lost someone who's died or have been betrayed by someone. The writers were having trouble moving on to become happy. Whether you've lost someone due to death or betrayal, there's still the loss of someone you've cared about, and there's the loss of the relationship itself. Of course, in the case of death, we can always chant for our loved one during Ganyo. My personal experience with the prayers for the dead is that they really comfort the heart. They're also a way of caring for your loved one after death when they can't chant for themselves. You can help them make their transition more peacefully because we're always connected to one another, both in life and in death. But even though we can chant, we must still go through the grieving process. Grieving allows us to gradually detach ourselves from the relationship. Sometimes we hold on to that grief because we aren't ready to let go. If that happens, grieving is just going to take more time, so be patient with yourself. That being said, we don't want to park there, but to keep moving through the process. Reaching out to others who are grieving can strengthen our own ability to meet our own problems with courage. In the World Tribune, there's a great story of Mrs. Chang, an artist and activist who was grieving and noticed that most people avoid talking about death. She wanted to engage with others around this. So she found a crumbling house in New Orleans, and with permission from the owner and the community, she covered it with chalkboard paint and stenciled, "Before I die, I want to blank." The wall encouraged people passing by to pick up a piece of chalk and reflect on their lives, and they responded by writing. "I want to tell my mother I love her. Abandon all insecurities. Get my wife back. Straddle the international date line. Live off the grid. Be completely myself." Mrs. Chang both teared up and laughed out loud. The wall reminded her she wasn't alone. Walls have now been erected in over 75 countries and in some 35 languages. So reaching out to other people is one way to help with the grieving process. Then you're not so alone. Betrayal adds a whole other dimension to the grieving process. In order to move on from a betrayal, we have to be willing to let go of our resentment and our anger. It's really important to remember that the events of our lives, whether we would have chosen them or not, are the curriculum of our evolution. No matter what the circumstance may be, there's always a valuable insight to be mined. Betrayal, just because it's so difficult, is a good opportunity to do our human revolution and grow spiritually. To grow spiritually might require forgiveness. And you might ask, how can I forgive the unforgivable? This person needs to pay. Well, this person will pay, as the workings of karma are quite strict. The seeds the betrayer set in his or her life will bear like fruit in the future through the simultaneity of the law of cause and effect. You can absolutely rest assured about that. Well, you might say, this person does not deserve forgiveness. That may well be the case. You are not condoning abusive behavior or becoming a doormat, and you'll continue to stand up for what you believe in. Forgiveness is to free you, the betrayed, who doesn't want to be ruled by resentment and anger any longer. Your anger is toxic to you, but isn't affecting the betrayer at all. Anger is like drinking poison yourself while expecting the other person to suffer. Somehow we need to recognize, however reprehensible the behavior, at their core, the betrayer is a spiritual being having a human experience. He or she has a Buddha nature, an infinite side, as we all do. Remember Bodhisattva Never Disparaging, who saw the Buddha nature of the people throwing stones at him? He was able to see their Buddha nature no matter how unskillful their behavior. He separated the person from the action, knowing that at their core, they were infinite beings. We can sit in front of the Gohanzen and chant to see this person differently, so that by raising our own life condition, we can better understand and develop compassion for a person who has to be suffering to behave in this way. This is what human revolution is all about. It's taking whatever happens in our lives, and however difficult it is, being willing to use it to evolve to a higher state of being. Forgiveness is an ongoing process. It doesn't just happen once, but you will know you've achieved it if you run into that person unexpectedly and find you're wishing the best for them. You will have broken the old patterns of thought and created new ones. In summary, today we looked at how to move on through grieving the loss of a relationship through death or having been betrayed. We discussed that grieving is the way to gradually detach from the relationship, and it can be helpful to reach out to others so you aren't alone. Chanting for the dead during Ganyo can allow you to influence their lives in a positive way and make their transition more peaceful. Then we discussed what to do when you've been betrayed. Karma will handle that feeling that the person should pay. The other side of betrayal is to release yourself from the prison of toxic feelings and resentments, which can only hurt you, not the betrayer. It's using the events of our lives to evolve to a higher spiritual state, or, in the case of betrayal, by chanting to see this person differently, so you can expand your heart and develop compassion for them. That might require separating the core of the person from the unskillful behavior, knowing that at the core, they are an infinite being, as you are. Finally, we noted that forgiveness is an ongoing process, but you'll know when you achieve it by finding you are wishing them well. So here are some other vlogs that I think you might find are related and helpful. Your life is your curriculum. Just how responsible are we for our problems? And know how to use troubles to nourish your growth? And finally, I've thoroughly enjoyed your comments and your questions. I hope you'll keep them coming. And I will see you again the first Thursday in September.